Hello everybody, welcome to Tuts Tips, or Tuts Tricks Tips Reviews Unboxed, working with audio and video. In this video I'm going to discuss some changes that I had to make when changing from Windows 7 to Linux Lubuntu. I'll discuss some of the mistakes that we made during the installation and the experiences that I had with Mint and Lubuntu. I also have had to learn more when it comes to audio on Linux, and then I'll go into telling you my thoughts that are concerned with video editing on Linux and OBS. Now, I've already gone over a lot of the stuff. I discussed how OBS wasn't an option when I changed over to Linux with the first computer that I was using, so I had to use alternatives instead. And that's when I started to talk about simple screen recorder, Flowblade, and OpenShot video editor. I'll get more into OpenShot video editor, the OpenShot video editor, but I've also recently gone over a simple screen recorder in a previous video, and I also talked about Flowblade. Now, the last video that I had, I was talking about Rufus, and I was in the middle of reading some of the stuff off of the Rufus website, but got cut off. I don't want to read any more into it. I was talking towards the end of that video about how fast it was, and I do have to say, to finish that up, that it is fast. It's actually faster than NetBootin on Lubuntu, and I've mentioned that in some of my videos too if you want to check that out. But I have my preferences about it when it comes to using NetBootin. First off, I chose Lubuntu, and the reason why I did it is because it was lightweight, and the version that's offered, the newest version that's offered right now for Lubuntu through NetBootin is or NetBootin. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. Let me pull that up and I'll get the name right. But NetBootin, the reason why I have issues about, NetBootin has an outdated version, and not only is it an outdated version, but it's a really, really bad one, so I wouldn't go there to get the Lubuntu, oh god, this is early in the morning, so I'm trying to get my head straight, to get the Lubuntu distro, because it's a really, really bad version of Lubuntu that it's offering. I had to literally go in to the website, which is www.lubuntu.me, and get the newest version and download it, and then use that to switch over the computer that I'm on right now from Mint over to Lubuntu, and that was the only way that I seen that was the best way to do it, because the options they have on Ubuntu is outdated. So I wanted to discuss that, but I wanted to move on to some other things that I have some issues with, that I learned about from this changeover that I needed to discuss. I already discussed to you about the LXDE and how I chose Lubuntu over Xubuntu. I discussed how I tried to first, what I did is I tried to use a USB pen drive as a booting device, and that was a bad mistake. If anybody tries that, I have to suggest to you, make sure that you know what you're doing and that you're aware of the things you're doing, because I have absolutely no idea, or I had no idea of what I was doing when I first did it, and I ended up paying for it. Now, I never did try XFCE, but I chose between the two. I chose Lubuntu out of the two because, from what I read, it's slightly more lightweight than what Ubuntu is. So, but I may try it in the future. I also talked about how I tried Mint. I tried Mint on this computer back whenever it was still my mom's old computer, and she was having security issues on her Windows. So she was in the process of getting another computer, and I decided that I was just going to go ahead and put Mint on it to straighten it out, because like her memory was all the way up to 100%, and I'd never in my life ever seen a computer have 100% full memory, and that right by itself is really, that's a warning if you think that you're being hacked, and you see, when you go into your memory on your computer, you see that the memory is just 100% full. There's a good chance you're being hacked. Also with the webcams, pay attention to your webcam. If it comes on or goes off without you wanting it to, there's a chance that you're being hacked that way too. Also, like if you have printers and things like that, and you see that you're having issues with your printer, be careful about that, because that right there is a sign that you're being hacked as well. A hacker will take away your usage so that its virus can work. So it's going to make your computer run slower, because not only is it having to work on hacking your computer, but you're also getting on there and you're doing what you're doing, so that slows down the computer. And those are some signs that you can look for to make sure you're not being hacked or not. But anyhow, I went ahead and switched this computer over to Mint first, and the reason why I did that was because it was my mom's computer, and she's a senior, and from what I've read, I've heard people say that Mint was more, user-friendly, and especially when it comes to Windows users, it has more of an interface that's aimed towards Windows. Well, the thing for me is, Mint caused more complications for this computer, and it was harder for my mom to understand. I don't suggest that any senior use Mint as a distro when it comes to Linux. It caused actually more problems than it did anything good. It took a lot of power. For some reason, the CPU wasn't cooling down, and the fan was running really loud. As soon as we got it out of my mom's room and started fixing it up and everything, it started purring like a kitten. It has some damage to it from her bumping into it and stuff like that, because she's not really careful with a lot of things that are when it comes to the computer. But that's something that we can work through. But after that, the fans run smooth. The temperature's down. It used to go up to all the way to 150 something degrees Celsius, or degrees. I can't remember which one it was, but now it's down to about 115 and 114. So I'm okay with that right now. When we did bring it in here, I added a hard drive to it, so we have two hard drives on this computer. one's bigger than the original one, and I added Lubuntu to both of the hard drives, and I also went and I changed the oh god, I'm still waking up. Like I said, I still I replaced the power source, the power supply with a new one that we had, and took the old one out. I reran all the wiring and that stuff back into the motherboard and into the control panel and into the hard drives and everything. Got it all set up. When we first fired it up, it ended up messing up, and it shut off. And then for me to turn it back on, I had to turn the power off on the power supply on the ground, and then turn it back on, and it would fire back up. But it wouldn't do it any other way than that if I turned it off. As time went by, though, it ended up straightening out, and I think what it was is I went back into the computer and I made sure that that the wires that go into the slots that control for the controls, like the power button and everything, made sure that they were in tight. I pulled it out, put them back in, and I noticed that wires that were next to the motherboard, in between the motherboard and the hard drives, was kind of lodged down between the motherboard and the side right there, and it could have been causing problems. So I lifted those wires up to where they weren't lodged in there. So those could have been some of the factors. We also have damaged USB outlets. I know that we have at least 2 or 3 of them that are damaged, and there's 6 of them on this one that's available, and I've been having to work through that. But that's basically the damage that it was in. And then on top of that, using Mint was just a bad decision. I don't know about the graphics card either. For some reason, it's not working with Lubuntu, and I don't know if it was whenever I was doing what I was doing, going in and fixing stuff, or if it's just something in Linux that doesn't allow it. So I have to go in and check that again. It's one of those Radeon graphic cards, so it might not be compatible, or I could have just put it in there and I didn't put it in there to where it was being was registering. And those are some of the issues that I've had to deal with the computer. But like I said, with Mint, I don't suggest allowing seniors to, or I don't think seniors should use Mint. I think that it's more complicated than what they're making it out to be, and it's not really user-friendly. And then I discussed the 32-bit versus the 64-bit on Linux, and about Chrome. It doesn't work with 32-bit on Linux when it comes to Chrome, so you have to get Chromium, and still you can no longer use some of the apps on Facebook, like Farmville 2. For some reason, when you go to Farmville 2, it tells you that you have to change your permissions on Java, and when you do that and hit reload, it still won't let you in, and says the same thing over and over again. So there's something with Chromium and Linux and Java that's not working out. But anyhow, after that, I started talking about Bitstream. I've made a review on Bitstream about my experience with it. I also have it mentioned in a few of my other videos, so I'm not going to go over all that. I can say that it's the only video capturing streamer device that I was able to find that goes with iOS, where I could actually stream onto YouTube without having to go through OBS, because at the time I didn't have OBS and I couldn't use it. So I started looking in on my my Android 7 Voyager to find something on there that I could use to stream to YouTube with, and do it with Hangouts, and use my computer and my Android to stream at the same time through Hangouts, and it was the only thing that worked. I was trying to do videos of Magic 2015 on there, and it caused a lot of issues with graphics and stuff, and eventually my Android ended up burning out. The battery went bad, so we have to either replace that or just throw it away. But like I said, I made a review on it, and with the Hangouts and YouTube Live, I mentioned that, and pretty much those two programs run the same on Linux as what they did with Windows. And I have to also remember, I've got a low bandwidth, and that's where I'm going to start talking about the topic that I'm going to start talking about, and it's about DataCaps. That's something that's very important that I do know needs to be discussed, so I'm going to bring that up and start a discussion about it, because as a creator you have to understand these things, and I didn't understand how low my bandwidth was until I switched from Windows over to Linux. On Windows it never told me how much of my bandwidth was being knocked down, and like with my internet, how far out it was actually going and how low it was. Down on the bottom part of my browser now, I can actually, unless it's plugged directly into the router, which this one is, but on the wireless, if you have your wireless adapter in there, it'll tell you what percentage of the internet you're getting, and sometimes it's bars, sometimes it comes as a percentage on it, but that's what I actually was able to start using, and I was getting pretty good accurate amount of the percentage that was coming in, and then I started checking up on it. Now, I've discussed Simple Screen Recorder and Flowblade, and I finished up on discussing Rufus, and now I'm wanting to talk about DataCaps. For me, that was something that I had to learn about here recently, because like I said, I'm wanting to make my videos, and I'm wanting to make good videos, and the issue with that I'm having right now is low bandwidth. Now, if I was to use Hangouts with OBS and do YouTube Live with OBS and Hangouts, it would still be really, really crappy resolution. The voices would be all choppy, and it would come out horrible. And I have some videos where you can hear that. I apologize to anybody who has heard that on any of my channels, and all I can say is I'm getting that taken care of right now. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because of the bandwidth. Okay, my bandwidth is set up right now with with Hangouts to the point, if I take and I put it at the lowest one, I can get a video where it's basically like an iPod, and I talk into the microphone, and there's no visuals whatsoever. It's just me talking into the microphone, and that's it. I found out here recently, because I became more aware of it, that it has to do with my internet provider. Now, the first thing that you have to do if you want to get into audio and video and being a creator and streaming video is you have to make sure that you have a good internet provider. Mine at the moment is HughesNet, and here on the 7th that's going to end, and then on the 5th I'm having Frontier, our old internet provider, come back in and install HughesNet or Frontier, and we are giving up YouTube TV and going with direct TV because it'll take stress off of the internet and we'll be able to use it for streaming. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because of what I found out when it came to HughesNet. Now, see, when we before we got Frontier and HughesNet, we went to Mediacom, and I was frustrated and upset with them because what they did is they put DataCaps on your services, and after you hit a certain amount, which was like 30 or 40 gigabytes, you had to pay by the chunks. In other words, you had to pay $10 for 50 gigabytes more, and that doesn't work for us because we have like we have four computers, and then we have two televisions that are running on are running YouTube or YouTube TV. At the time, it was Hulu, and it pulls a lot of data out. So at close to the end of the month, I'd say from maybe a week and a half, or even sooner towards the end of the month, we would come to the end there, and they would want us to pay $10 extra. So we would pay $10 extra sometimes, and they don't have a rollover thing where the data that you have at the end of the month rolls over to the following month. It's completely erased, and you just start all over again. And that's money that you just pretty much flush down the toilet, okay? Because you want to watch internet television, and you want to be able to have, to be able to function on the computer. If you don't pay that, they shut you off. That's Mediacom. They'll just shut you off. Now, with HughesNet, when we got onto here, they have the DataCaps, but they say we won't shut you off, and you won't have to pay extra money. Well, they said that they will slow it down, but it wouldn't affect our internet any more than what it would have if we stayed with Frontier, which Frontier was giving us just regularly 12 millibytes per second. I should have checked into it and kept track of it, but I didn't. And the reason why I should have kept track of it was because I found out that they were not only slowing us down, but they were knocking us down to 1 millibyte per second. Okay? Now, Frontier always keeps you at 12 millibytes per second, no matter what. HughesNet claims that they have this Gen 5 that helps your computer run faster. Well, there's a catch to that. If you're running your computer faster and they're putting DataCaps on you, and you run out of your data, then you get what they call downgraded. Your account is downgraded, and they slow you down to 1 millibyte per second. So you're basically getting Gen 5, which is speeding up the process of using up all your data and then downgrading your account, and you're running on 1 millibyte per second of memory, and it's just constant, and I don't know of any person that I know who just has one computer or one, television that they run YouTube on, and I just don't know. And that's not even talking about video games, phones, tablets, all that stuff. I've never once seen anybody that does that. So everybody's basically getting sucked into this DataCap thing, and their computers and their iPads and their phones are all being slowed down. Now this is the account, and I wanted to actually show you the usage of what I get. Now, they show your usage here. It's the history. You can review your data using usage for this month or last month, and then on your usage they have your service plan data, and for that we got 20 gigabytes, and then they have what they call the bonus zone, and they call that the bonus gigabytes, I guess, but you get 50 gigabytes Okay, and those are gone. It says you've exceeded your allotment for this service plan data cycle. Now it says 15 days remaining in your bill cycle. Your services is now degraded. You can buy a token to resolve or restore service. Now I've been degraded and I have to pay for or buy a token to restore services, and the data tokens that are available is 0 MB. I've never bought a token, and I've watched this for the last month and a half, and when the cycle, okay, the billing cycle ended, the account was not upgraded, it stayed downgraded, and the only way for me to stop being downgraded and for the slowdown to end is for me to buy a token. It doesn't change. It hasn't changed. I called up the internet provider and I got no help for that whatsoever. And see, that's my whole point when it comes to working with audio and video. First off, just to let you know, doing this stuff is going to take a lot of data. It's going to take a lot of data. You're going to have to download, you're going to have to upload, you're going to have to use your video editors. So you're constantly going to be working with video. You're going to be constantly editing. You're going to upload your videos to your platform, and you're going to be downloading too. So you're going to be using a lot of data. There's no managing that, and you can't micromanage it. So what I'm saying is, when you go in and you wanna, if you're wanting to do this and you go into your internet provider, check out this information and find out if you have DataCaps. If you know that you have a DataCap, find an internet provider that does not have DataCaps and change to them, because you're not going to be able to make good videos. I've had tons and tons of problems, and we've finally gotten into all this and figured it out. I also went in and started using the task manager, and that's been a big help too, because now I know programs that use a lot of memory, and I know the ones that don't use a lot of memory. And for me, I think that in that aspect, this has been a big change. It's actually helped me see things a little bit better. Another thing I want to mention too is the bandwidth. I've already mentioned it. Our bandwidth is down to 1 MB/s. Now I'm in the laundry room, and our router is sitting exactly right next to me over here to my left or my right, and on this computer it's directly plugged into the computer, so I can't get no readings. But I have another computer out here in the front room, which is less than maybe 6 to 7 feet away. We have thin temporary walls that were put in back during the coal miner ages, and so it's not thick. There's no insulation in them. They're about maybe that thick, and there's really nothing that would slow the bandwidth down from that router to that computer. Yet whenever we go in and we check on how much or what the percentage is of the internet coming into that computer, it's only at maybe 32 to 36%. On the other side of the front room, which is maybe 6 foot away, 6 to 10 feet away, we put in a route extender and to extend our network, make it to where the signal goes farther. Now from that computer to that route extender, we literally lose 6 to 8% on our network. It goes to 26%, and it stays there. That is how bad it is on this thing, with the account being downgraded. So when they're slowing you down, not only are they slowing you down, but you don't get 100% of your network when it comes into the house. Because I guarantee you, if I put a Wi-Fi connector on here, it will not show that I'm getting 100% Wi-Fi. And that's from what I've been noticing. I'm going to do an unboxing and a review on the route extender that we did get, and I'll show you some of the footage of it, and I'll talk more about it later. But that's what I've been finding out here recently, you know. And for me, when it comes to network providers and DataCaps and bandwidth and all that, I've learned that it doesn't matter how good your computer is. It doesn't matter how good your televisions are. If you're getting Hulu or YouTube TV or anything like that, because you know my videos are about working with audio and video, and believe it or not, all that does have to do with working with audio, video, and everything, because all that has to work while I'm doing this. And it doesn't matter how good those TVs are. It doesn't matter how many router extenders you get. If you have DataCaps on your internet from your network provider, your bandwidth is going to be crappy. And that means that your service is going to be crappy. That means every time you turn on YouTube TV to watch YouTube TV, it's going to be crappy. If you use Hulu, it's going to be crappy. So no matter what you do, you're going to have crappy internet, and it's going to cause a bottleneck. And a bottleneck is when the internet provider sends information in, it has to be distributed all throughout the house. And if you're having low bandwidth coming in because they've downgraded your account, that bottleneck is going to cause a lot of the network to mess up. So it's going to have to compete for the computers doing their job, the TVs doing their job, and things of that nature. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. That's pretty much why it's important to, if you're going to get into this, make sure you have the right network provider that doesn't have DataCaps. Make sure on your bandwidth that you're getting at least 12 megabytes per second when it comes to speed, and get you a route extender if you want to. I mean, it's still a good thing to have, but if you don't have a network provider that's giving you at least 12 megabytes per second and they have DataCaps set on your account, then they're not really useful. I mean, but they are useful if you have one that doesn't have DataCaps. Okay. Now, after that, I do want to go over OBS, okay? And on the first computer, like I said, we changed over to Linux, and I couldn't use OBS because of our CPU inside of the computer that we have in the front room. Now, whenever we were with Windows, I had issues with it, and I've got previous videos of that too. The CPU is old, and it was causing issues with XSplit, and also it was detecting it with OBS, but OBS was still letting us use OBS on Windows. When we switched over to Linux, they just said, no, you can't do it. Your CPU's messed up. It's too old. You can't use it, period. So we ended up not being able to use it, and I had to start using an alternatives like Bitstream, which I was just talking about. I used simple screen recorder, you know, and I had issues with that I mentioned before. And then I used, Flowblade with all that, and Hangouts. Now, the thing about the CPU is, if you've got an old CPU, I would suggest staying with OBS. Make sure that your computer can use OBS on Linux first. If your CPU is too weak and you're into streaming, I do not suggest changing over to Linux. Stay with Windows, because when it comes to that, I was basically screwed. I was going through some hard times on my audio and video when I didn't have my OBS, because these other alternatives aren't all that great. I haven't had too much good luck with these video editors, and I ended up losing my tablet. The battery burned out because I was using Bitstream. So, and it could have been my Adoro Facio. I was using it, and I found out that the keyboard on was magnetically connected to the thing, so the magnetism could have affected it. But I really believe that it was because I was using Bitstream that caused that. At first, it belonged to my mom. This computer did, and I had to go through and check everything out and fix it. All the stuff that I was telling you that was a problem, and still right now I constantly have to check my audio with OBS. The audio is completely insane when it comes to the settings on Linux. They they were a whole lot more simple when it came to Windows. And I was having problems with the audio on Windows too, but I finally started figuring it out, getting it going, and we switched over to Linux, and it just blew my mind. I literally had to tell my brother, I get pissed when I do audio, and I was getting pissed back when we had Windows doing audio, and it's the configurations. I get confused with the settings because of the added amount of settings with Linux, and Windows had more of a simple configuration than what Linux Lubuntu has. And not only that, but I've noticed when I go in there, sometimes the settings will change, so I have to constantly remind myself, you have to check audio every single time. Every single time I make a video, I have to check my audio and make sure that it's working. When I go into OBS right here, I've got my mic set up, and it's showing that I am talking because the meter is going up. I can't hear myself while I'm on here, so I have to go and recheck and make sure that I'm actually being picked up by the mic. Down here, I have a media source, which if I'm playing the video on here, the media source will show the volume, if there's any volume, but I don't have any volume on there whatsoever, so I don't have to worry about all that. It's just a background theme that goes with it. But those are what I have to constantly check on. And then right here on the right hand side down at the bottom, I hit sound settings, and I can show you the settings here. For playback, I have system sounds, OBS monitor, which is media source 2, and OBS monitor media source. I'm hoping that. And right here, even the settings again, I have changed. It's just insane. I have to switch it over from PCM 2902 audio codecs analog stereo to built-in audio analog stereo. And then, like with my recordings here, I have to switch. It's telling me that it's one thing, and it's not. It has to be a lot higher. Now if I go in here and I start messing with it, it's going to end up messing up. So see if this is actually working or not. I shouldn't be messing with it while I'm making the video, but this is kind of what I'm talking about, you know. It's pretty crazy. I am getting obsessed over it. That's how bad it is. It just drives you nuts. But anyhow, on my controls, which I should have never opened anyhow, you have your configuration. It looks basically simple, but it's not. Then you have your input devices, then your output devices, recording. I have to make sure that all this is being recorded, and turn up the volume, make sure that the volume's high. I actually had to go back through and check my audio because the audio was too low on it. And just like with this one, I'm going to have to go and check it too, and if it's too low, then I have to go into my Audacity and I have to fix it there. I have had to go through my settings to change everything. The settings that I had with Windows is way different than Linux was. Like I said, you know, the computer that I use, which belonged to my mom, you know, it's had damage to its USB outlets, and I had to work around them, basically. The Behringer here in settings seems to overpower the mic settings for the computer that are built inside of it, so I have to constantly work on that. That's why my settings are different. At least that's what I believe. I believe the Behringer is changing the settings on it. Sometimes when it comes to these to this mic and to the audio and everything, I've literally got to reboot the computer because Linux just acts all freaky and it doesn't do right, so I have to start over. And sometimes the best answer on Linux is to reboot. That goes for a lot of things, not just with audio or video or any of that. Just if you're having a problem on Linux, reboot, and it sometimes fixes it. A lot of times it does. Now I'm constantly having to go in and reset settings for my audio. An older mic that I was using, it plugged directly into the back of the computer. The audio that came from it was really bad compared to the mic that I'm using right now that's connected to the Behringer. On some of my videos you'll hear like the furnace going or the TV in the background and all that stuff. That had to do with the old mic that I had, and I do have a video of it that I'll be showing in my working with or changing over to Linux, and or maybe even this one. But I had so much data or so much videos before that I've started doing this so that I could just do a quick catch up and I could show some of the things in this to show you what's going on here, you know, with all this stuff. That I had to literally do all of this in order to change over from Windows to Linux. It was a pretty big project, and there's no way that I could get a good video going in a decent amount of time, so I just pulled that together and I started doing this on Google Drive to where I could have a list of the things that I wanted to talk about, because there's a lot of things that I had to do. So with the older mic, I had a lot of footage that had that going on, so whenever you see my review when it comes to the RCA tablet, you have to understand on there that a lot of that was from the microphone that we had here. And I have another little camera that I was transferring transferring videos to the computer that caused echoes because it was hooked up and I was trying to record and I didn't realize that it was doing that. So those are some of the mistakes that I made. You don't have settings in Linux to where you can block out background noises. At least I'm not aware of any. So if you take a mic like that and you set it up on the table, you basically have to put up with all the noises or make sure the noises aren't there. You know, go somewhere quiet, keep away from all the noises, or it'll show up. I seem to have an okay situation here with this Behringer though, and with this mic. Here recently we had to replace the cord to it too, and it backed me up on my videos. We ended up buying a new cord for like $2.70. So if you have issues with your cords and you need to get a new one, they're real cheap. You don't have to worry about it. Maybe someday we'll get a stand for this, but I don't see that happening anytime soon because we're having to run on a budget when it comes to all this stuff. I was pretty happy about the price of the cord though, and that was a big relief. I'm just now figuring out why people put electrical tape at the connector part down here, and the reason why they do that is because this area right here will literally come apart from the actual mic, so you need to make sure that that's firmly secure right there, and don't just lay it around. You know, take really good care of where you place your mic and the cord, because if you don't, eventually this is going to pull out. I haven't really dealt too much with cords for these, so I don't know if there's any kind of cord that prevents that from happening and built specifically for that not happening, but I am going to check into it. Now, like I said, it doesn't block out background noise, so I had issues with the furnace sounds in my videos. Another mic that was plugged into the Behringer, it was plugged in, this one right here, it's plugged in with an XLR. The first one was an XLR 6-foot cable cord, but I don't think this one is. I'm pretty sure it's smaller. And it had the issues, the connector, cord separated from the mic, and altogether we had to buy this cord right here for $6.95 after shipping and handling. The shipping and handling actually cost more than the actual cord itself. When we plugged the waterproof camera into the computer, it caused echoing. I mentioned that. By itself, the camera's mic, it isn't much, but when it was connected to the computer, it picked up on conversations and caused feedback and echoes, and you could hear pretty much everything. But when it's by itself, I could put it up to my mouth right here. I had to put it up this close just so it could hear my volume, but when I put it down here, you could barely hear me. Yet I plug it into the computer and boom, it's picking everything up. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. When working with audio, I had to listen to playback each time because I can't hear what the mic is recording live. So like right now with me doing this, I don't hear what's being said. I don't know how good the quality is. I don't know any of that. The only thing that I have right here is in OBS with the mic settings. It shows that my voice is being picked up on. I don't even know how loud that is. I could probably turn it all the way up like this so that I could get it into the yellow, but my voice is so low in the first place it's hard to hear. And like I said, if it doesn't come out right, I'll just download this video from YouTube and I will bring up my audio with Audacity and then go from there. Now I'm sure I can eventually, get it set up to where I can hear my voice, but I'm not familiar with all of this yet. I'm still catching up, and like I said before, and you can't emphasize it more, check and recheck your audio each and every time you're doing a video. Check your audio, make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to be working. Just because you do it one time doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way all the time. So you need to constantly check that. Now, with Audacity, when I had Windows, reading the manual for Audacity was helpful, but it isn't the same on Linux. Actually, the manual just vaguely goes through a lot of the stuff compared to what I remembered it doing on Windows. When recording audio, sometimes the screen, when I'm using it on Linux, it goes white. Now, in order for me to save the video or the audio that was recorded, I go to the left options up on top, and I select transport, and then the stop/play in the drop down options. After that, I go over to the file options on the top left side as well, and choose export audio. When the drop down menu comes down, I have to then upload what I exported again back onto Audacity, and that's so that I could edit the audio that I just saved from being lost. I'm having issues with audio on OBS too, but that's because I'm getting confused with the settings, and that's basically it, when it comes to that. And then, like I said, I'm thinking Behringer's competing with the audio settings over the computer's audio settings. Now, I want to talk a little bit about OpenShot video editors, and before I get started with that, I'm just going to tell everybody that, so far from looking through all of the video editors on Linux, I haven't found any really good ones, not any ones that are reliable, so I've had to learn tricks to do it. I mentioned the Flowblade before and how I wanted 15-minute videos, and it was giving me 6-minute videos. When I make a 15-minute video, that's what I want. I want a 15-minute video. So because of that, I ended up switching back to OpenShot Video Editor because there's really nothing available that's good. And on Windows, I was big on the movie makers. I had no problem with the movie makers. I thought they were good, but it's not like that on Linux. You literally have to find something that's manageable. So I've been using OpenShot, and I constantly have to save my projects because the video editor just literally crashes. You'll be in the middle of something and it just drops, and you have to open it up again. Then you have to open a project, and hopefully you saved the last thing you did, because if you didn't, you won't get it, and you have to constantly save, and that's because of crashes. Now, a short video will always be the length of the longest video when it comes to OBS 2. So, like, say I have a 6-minute video here, and then just up above it, I have a 20-minute video. What'll happen is when I go to record that 6-minute video or export it, it'll be exported as a 20-minute video. So I have to go back in, edit it, and cut off the extra black area that's on there. Now there's an alternative to that. I can go ahead and just export the 20-minute video, take it off of there, and then go on to the 6-minute video. But if I do it the opposite time, then it'll be messed up. And the longest, it'll be the length of the longest video on the editor is basically what I'm saying. And that's if you have multiple videos on it. Sometimes I just do one video at a time because I don't want to mess with it. But a lot of times I put all my videos down together, or I have a big video feed, and I can separate each one, which I've shown in my videos, and I can put them where I want to in the selections, and I can make multiple videos out of one video feed. Now, if you have multiple videos on it, that means that you have to go back and clip off videos that isn't supposed to be at the end of the video, except for the longest video, of course, you know. So just remember that. And like I said, you know, these video editors on Linux, they're horrible, but you can work with them. You just have to learn the tricks and how to use them. I'm going to be checking out another setup on here. It's called Blender. It's not really a video editor like what I use, but I do want to find out about it because it's got pretty good graphics, and it has a different kind of video editing that I'm not really familiar with, and I want to learn about it, so I will be doing videos about that. And that basically comes down to everything that I wanted to discuss on this. And you know, I'm sorry about a lot of my videos being in this format in the way that they have been, but it's like I said, you know, I had so much feed and so much video that there's no way I could have done it. Eventually I will go back over what video I do have here, and I'll be able to make some good ones that are 15-minute long. I've started on the working with, or changing over to Linux videos, and I'm still going through and checking out the video feed, and I'll be making more videos concerning my change over to Linux, and plus the stuff that I have that I can add to working with audio and video. But I didn't want to lose a lot of the video footage that I had, so I went ahead and I condensed it, and I made a lot of this video footage that you see here, and I wanted to share that and at least get it on the internet before I started, you know, speeding them up and putting them, or getting rid of the audio and things of that nature. And now I am pretty much caught up. I can get back to my tutorials, and I can get back to my reviews and my unboxings. We just started up on a couple of reviews that I made. I'm going to make another review on HughesNet so that you guys understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about with the network. I just did a review on Bitstream, and I also did a review on my RCA Android 7 Voyager tablet, and I'll be doing more, you know, reviews on stuff of that nature. I'm also wanting to get into like stories, because I like to write and I like to read stories, so I'll be doing that. And I'm thinking about maybe doing some reviews on movies. At the moment though, I don't know if I am or not. But this is my video. If you guys liked it, I thank you for watching. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, share, make comments, give me some feedback or some advice. I definitely need it. A lot of this is crazy for me, so I need the advice. So if you guys can do that, you know, give me some feedback. Thanks for watching.